Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I am now joined by Lou Benfante of the Heritage Library, although he might look like somebody else today. General Mitchell?
Yes, I'm dressed as General Mitchell today, and we're going to talk about our Mitchellville class that we have coming up on Tuesday, where people will learn the story of the first self-governing town of formerly enslaved people in America. Okay. It's a great story, a great American story, and it's actually the beginning of Reconstruction. Happened here on Hilton Head. We also have about 11 other history programs that we rotate on Tuesday mornings at 10:30 at the Heritage Library, and you can see the schedule on our website.
So your Mitchellville class is at the library?
The Mitchellville, all our classes are at the library at 10:30.
At 10:30. So tell us a little bit about what they learn in the class, and you do tours of Fort Mitchell too as well.
We do tours of Fort Mitchell, and we also do tours of the Zion Cemetery. Fort Mitchell tours are on Thursday mornings at 10, and Zion tours are on Friday mornings at 10. And you can sign up for any of our classes or tours online on our website. But what people will learn about Mitchellville is how these former slaves came to the island, the living conditions they were in when General Mitchell arrived here, how appalled he was at those living conditions, and what he decided to do, which was to take part of one of the Confederate generals' plantations here on the islands, and he laid out streets and lots and actually gave them lumber to build a town, and eventually almost 500 homes in the town of Mitchellville.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So tell us something a little bit interesting about General Mitchell himself.
Well, General Mitchell was a very interesting man. He was actually, grew up in around the Cincinnati area. His dad passed away when he was 12, and he went to work in a general store to help support his family. But when he was 15, he received an appointment to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, and he walked from Cincinnati to West Point to begin his studies.
Wow.
After graduating, he became a professor at West Point, then moved back to Cincinnati, got interested in law and astronomy, visited Europe to look at the observatories there, returned to Cincinnati, and went on a speaking tour, and himself raised the money to build the Cincinnati Observatory, which is still operating today. At the time he built it, it had the second largest telescope in the world.
Wow.
And
I mean, what an accomplished guy.
Yeah. And then the Civil War broke out. He was called back into service as a brigadier general in the Department of Ohio. He led his men down and captured Nashville, Tennessee, and then he captured Huntsville, Alabama without firing a shot. And then he was called back to Washington, sent on a speaking tour, and returned to Washington only to be given the command of the Union Army base at the Department of the South down here on Hilton Head Island.
So that's how he got here.
That's how he got here, and that's when he saw the living conditions of these former slaves, who, by the way, were being employed by the Army, being paid $12 a month, but being charged $12 a month to live in conditions that were no longer larger than a huge open barn, 300, 400 people living together in this open barn, and he decided to do something about it.
Wow. So, I mean, how wonderful.
Yeah.
That is really fascinating.
Unfortunately, he only was here 45 days before he died of yellow fever.
Oh my gosh.
But he did accomplish a number of good things while he was here.
And so did people continued the work he was doing once he died?
Yes. Yes. There will eventually be over 3,000 people living in the town of Mitchellville, which elected its own officials, passed its own laws, and actually had the first compulsory education law in the state of South Carolina. General Mitchell sent teachers in from the American Missionary Association as well.
Tell me a little bit about this uniform that you're wearing. You were telling me some tidbits when you came in.
This is a Union Army's Major General's uniform, Civil War, and a Major General's uniform was 3 buttons, 3 buttons, and 3 buttons. A Brigadier was 2, 2, and 2, and a Lieutenant General was 4 and 4. That would be Ulysses S. Grant, and with the 2 stars on the shoulder. So it's all wool, and you see I've got his sword and all his other accoutrements here. This is the type of hat that General Mitchell wore. We have a number of photos of him, and this is exactly what he would be wearing if he were here with us.
So when people come to your classes, are you dressed like this? Or
No. Occasionally when we do the tours at Fort Mitchell, I will. When we do History Day, I'll be doing it. And the tours are going to be resumed on April 20th.
Okay.
We had a number of issues at the fort site with fallen trees and limbs that were about to fall, and the last big one just fell last week, and we had it removed. And so we're going to restart the tours on April 20th at 10 a.m. And as I mentioned, you can sign up for those on our website.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us. What a fascinating, fascinating thing. Thanks. We'll be right back on Talk of
Thank
the
you.
Town.